and welcome. My name is Larissa and I'm a freelance artist, and there are certain subjects that are notoriously difficult for artists, and this one painting that I've been working on happens to include quite a few of those, including clear glass and reflections. I've been doing a series of videos with this one painting because it had a lot of really unique challenges involved in it, and if you haven't seen all of those, they will be linked in the description box down below, but be sure to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications because I have more videos still on this one painting. For instance, in a previous video, I had painted most of the tabletop and the sides of the tablecloth hanging down, but today I'm going to paint the glasses and the wine bottle that are on top of the table. I've already painted everything surrounding the glass, so now I need to cut back in with white to give me nice, crisp, clean edges between the background and the glass. For painting the actual glass, I'm going to be relying very heavily on my photo references that I took, and those are also described in a previous video, but I don't have to get every single shape and color exactly right because these glasses aren't exactly the focal point of the picture. But the reference photos are definitely a big help for me as the artist to get the intricacies of the shading and the reflections very believable and realistic. I started with the rim and I just broke the glass down into simpler, more manageable shapes and regions. When you're painting or drawing anything, don't get stuck in this mindset of it's so difficult and it's so complicated. If you have something that is a little more intricate, just break it down into smaller, simpler, and more manageable shapes. Then once you've broken everything down into simpler and more manageable shapes, you can compare them to each other to make sure that each section is correct. Which shape is larger or smaller, more rounded or more squared off? Which color is more saturated versus a little more dull? Is this shape more of a blue color or more of a yellow color, etc., etc.? Once I have the clear portions of the first glass finished, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the second glass while I have all the colors and paints that I need mixed up. I'm using a different reference photo for each glass because the first glass had pretty much all white behind it except for a little bit of red cloth underneath the base, whereas the second glass had a little bit of the white tablecloth and the red cloth beneath it, but it also had the green glass behind part of it. So obviously those two glasses need to look different, so I had two different reference photos. So by making sure that I painted the two glasses slightly differently, but with some similar colors of paint involved, again, they look like they belong in the same space, in the same world together, but they're obviously in two different areas of space. Of course, not all glass is clear, like the deep green of the wine bottle, but the same principles apply of just breaking everything down into smaller, simpler shapes. So I started by laying a nice deep green base coat down, but then I started looking into my reference photo and comparing the reflections of the white and red cloths onto the bottom portion of the bottle, and then the reflections of the bright white and blue sky on the top portion of the bottle. And again, all of this is possible thanks to me taking some ridiculously detailed reference photos. Even clear glass is going to be affected by the objects around it, so I wanted to take the different color palettes that I had used for each of the individual dogs and have those slightly represented in the reflections on their glasses. That way, all of the glasses and the dogs and the table and everything are going to feel like they're coexisting in the same space. But the reflective glass actually wasn't the hardest part of the wine bottle, believe it or not. The client has family ties to a specific winery, and so they wanted that to be portrayed in the wine bottle. So they sent me a reference image of a label. This is the reference photo that they gave me, which is awesome because it's a nice high-res image. I can see everything very clearly. It's not kind of a crappy phone camera snapshot of a bottle that's 6 feet away or anything. So it's really great that it's very high detail and I can get a lot of information out of it. But it's a perfectly flat, rectangular image. On an actual wine bottle, of course, it's going to be wrapped around the curve of the bottle. There's going to be perspective happening, there's going to be shading happening, and I don't have a reference for any of that. So I had to make up the perspective and the shading and everything for the bottle in my mind. That includes both the actual image of the building, but also the typography. So that was a really fun and interesting little art challenge that I really took as a really interesting exercise that I think that a lot of non-artists wouldn't have anticipated. One of the earliest conversations with the clients about this piece was that I could feel free to simplify the label if I needed to. And I did slightly. It's not as completely detailed as the actual image I was given, but I was able to incorporate a lot of the detail because it just so happened that a lot of the colors really tied into other aspects of the composition, but it also helped me visually that in the same sort of plane on this composition were the little sheep and a couple of the cats right behind the wine bottle. So it actually works as a nice visual bridge leading from one dog to the other. Your eye just automatically sort of follows like dot, 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 dot of sheep, cats, bottle, etc. all the way to the second dog. For the typography, I just went back to my hand lettering classes from college and I used my handy dandy go-to Sharpie pen, and I started with the center and worked my way out. While I had worked on the wine bottle, the two glasses have now dried, so I can go back to finish those. I need to finish up a couple of the clear sections of glass and paint the actual areas with the actual wine. But timing-wise, I wanted to paint both of the wine-filled sections of each glass at the same time so that I only had to mix up certain colors once. Now that the table setting is finished, we only have a few areas to fill in to really finish up and round out this composition. If you found this helpful and inspiring, I hope you will give a quick like down below. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time.